think there'll be more. Gary, come and just say a few words, would you?
Thank you, Governor. It is about hope, and it's about sorting out those who want to make a positive change in their lives from those who want people not to be successful. And that's what we're building. We're building a three-tier prison system where we're going to control the inmates that have been uncontrollable, and we want to give hope and re-enter those people successfully into society. And we want to be measured by a rate of recidivism. We want to reduce crime. For those we come in contact with, we want to reduce crime victims out there. And we're going to do that with evidence-based programming, and we're going to do the right thing, Governor.
Without Gary and that private sector experience, that, of course, was also invaluable to us, and he's an incredible guy. I'm glad he's here. Six Sigma. We use the Six Sigma, the black belt, the lean to do all kinds of reduced backlogs. This is in the area of, we don't talk about this, just making things work better. Joe, how many, Board of Tax Appeals, how many cases did we have on backlog?
In the tax department was 17,500 cases.
And what are we down to now?
About 3,800.
Okay, so that's a pretty significant improvement. He did it in about 6 months. And Lean and Six Sigma are private sector operations that are designed to produce a better product at a lower price. We are doing this all over the state government. Colonel, do you want to say something, Colonel Charles, about the reduction and how it's affect the crime lab?
In the crime lab, we had a backup. We were losing cases, and with the aggressive drug interdiction, we couldn't process the drugs in the crime lab. We did Lean, Ohio, and we reduced that down to within 20 days, and we were able to produce more results, get more cases into court, not lose cases. It helps the troopers and
well, it makes them feel like they're doing their job. And we're going to hear from the Colonel a little bit more in terms of morale of the patrol and the war on drugs, which is an epidemic in this state, and across our great country. We're going to be doing, and you might say, why don't you do Six Sigma? And why didn't somebody ever do that before? Well, because when people get introduced to it, they cry. Because we start telling people to do things differently. It's like when I was a paper boy. I used to like to throw it on the driveway. They made me put it in the door. I cried, okay? This is not easy to get people to change the way they have done things for 25 years without having them threatened, and it's difficult. But we're getting it done, and we're building more black belts all throughout the state of Ohio so we can do what the taxpayers want. Invest Ohio, the 10% tax credit for people who hold an investment in Ohio small business for 2 years. Last time I checked, within the first week, we generated about $250 million, $250 million in new investment in small business. If banks will not lend, you can't do anything. So Invest Ohio was designed to say to people that if you will invest in small business, we will reduce overall the tax liability you owe to the state of Ohio, which helps them and which really helps our small businesses to get the capital they need to invest in plant, equipment, and more important, people. Jobs-friendly climate, income taxes are down under 6%. Too high? We need to work on it. We eliminated the death tax, so people don't have to sell the farms. They don't have to sell their small business in order to where they won't have to visit both the undertaker and the tax guy on the same day. We've cut regulation. That list goes on. And Mark, I think, will say a little bit about Menards, the decision that was made there, the ability of GE to move 5 engines over the 4th of July. This is a big deal. When you tell companies that we're not going to over-regulate you, they like it. But that doesn't mean no regulation. Let me be clear, because our regulation on shale gas, which we will talk about, is going to be extremely strong. But you don't over-regulate and not use common sense when it comes to carrying out what you need to do. And one of the great champions, well, we haven't even said anything about him, is Scott Nally. He's he's like the poster boy of the administration. Everybody loves Scott Nally. Scott is the only EPA guy who I know who environmentalists like and business people like. He's like he's a Houdini. You want to have a word about that, Scott, the way you approach things? Scott Nelly runs the EPA.
Thank you, Governor. It comes down to being predictable. Businesses want predictable, and environmentalists want predictable. They want regulation that's clear, and they want to be able to understand it so that they can meet the bar. So what we've been trying to do is change a lot of that, whether it's through rulemaking or an omnibus bill that's getting ready to be teed up, and also through a lot of our internal policies, so we can provide clear guidance to business so that they clearly understand what they need to achieve. And that's how we're getting there. Thank you, sir.
Patriot Water, done yet?
Patriot Water is going to take a little while because we're in court. Once we get that out of the way, we'll sit down and
Clean
have
it
a
up,
discussion.
folks. Clean it up, or you're not going to be in business. Just that simple. But not on some, theory out here, but on reality. Education. Quadrupled vouchers. We have one of the most robust voucher programs in the country. If your child is in a non-performing school, underperforming school, you get a chance to put your kids in a school where you believe they can do better. If you have not seen the movie Waiting for Superman, if you have a heart, be alone when you watch it, because you will be reduced to tears. I can't even watch the darn movie anymore. It's just so emotional about mothers, particularly single mothers who are African Americans, and the nightmare they go through trying to give their kids a chance. We also have taken the lid off of charter schools, and let me be clear, we don't want to over-scrutinize charter schools, but we're certainly not going to under-scrutinize them. That is not an answer if they are not providing the kind of education that we want. And our idea of vouchers and charter schools is not to undermine public education. It's designed to provide better competition, a little bit more choice, which improves the product and enforces the kind of change that we need, not just in Ohio, but all over the country. And I'm thrilled that Michael Colbert worked so hard and the whole staff worked so hard to get that significant early childhood education grant. Ohio ranked 5th in the country. We'll have about, I guess, $70 million to be able to work on this early childhood education. And I was thrilled to read in the Plain Dealer about the fact that Teach for America now is going to be funded. That was knocked out of this state, and within, 2 months, we got Teach for America in Ohio, and it's going to be a great thing. Stan Hefner is the superintendent of schools. He is a Democrat. He has traveled the state talking about the fact that the excellence we have is in meeting minimum standards. He's been out with his building-by-building comparisons so mothers and fathers can get a real sense of how their children are doing. It's not a biased, trumped-up deal. It's really, this is how this school's doing compared to the school next to them. And finally, and I hope you will write this, 41% of our high school graduates are not prepared to enter college without significant remediation. 41% of our graduating seniors must be remediated the first year they enter college. And this is something we're going to be focusing on significantly, but Stan's job is to basically let parents know that we can do better. Teacher evaluation, I'm proud of the work that Sarah Dove has done and Bob Summers in terms of asking teachers how they would like to be evaluated. And frankly, the race to the top, I'm in some ways embarrassed to say, is farther ahead of us on teacher evaluation and merit pay than we are. And it's just a shame that only half of our schools have adopted it, but Stan's making an effort to make sure that we can build a team. Stan, anything you want to say about your work? I said, Stan, this is your chance to make a difference in K through 12.
Well, thank you, Governor. As you know, education is not about Democrats or Republicans. It's about our children. It's about our future. It's about making sure that we have high expectations so that all children, regardless of where they go to school or who is their teacher, receive nothing but the highest quality of education that works best for their learning style and for their situation. And we will not stop until Ohio is #1 in the nation in education.
And it's going to take an awareness, and that's one of the things that Stan has done as he's traveled the state, is let parents know how the kids are doing. That's what's critical to all of us. And as they do better, of course, Ohio does better, and of course, the country does better. We're cutting regulations on universities. Wayne Struble and Jim Petro working on that right now to set them free from a lot of rules and regulations that drive up their costs, frustrate them, and get in their way in terms of being able to be of excellence. And they're making great progress on that. I would expect that we will see some legislation on that within the period of the next several months. Is that right, Jim and Wayne? The war on drugs. All right, Colonel, stand up. What's been happening? 12 illicit pain clinics shut down. Drug seizures are up 500%. Orman Hall, he has changed the only prescription from methadone to another drug. Orman lives and breathes this every day, the fight against prescription drug and all drugs. Colonel, give us a little overview of what the Highway Patrol has been doing and what it's been like in that patrol since January.
Well, a couple things. One is, most of you know, I'm an ex-Highway Patrol commander, and daggone proud to be back over the Highway Patrol. The good thing is morale is up. You don't have to ask me, ask any trooper that you run into. And part of that is there are no politics in the Highway Patrol. I'm here to tell you right now, there are no politics. There will be no politics in the Highway Patrol as long as I'm around and this governor's around. With that comes the morale, and it's been really, it's quite exciting, and working with Orman and different ones on the pill mills. But in the last couple weeks, we've seized $800,000 from a drug runner. That's cash. And kind of interesting to count out 800,000. 3 million in heroin. It was a record drug bust for us off the highway. I get these all right. 2,000 pills the other day. Orman, one of the troopers, stopped a car. 2,000 pills. $150,000 in bath salts taken out of a car. This is all very recent, and you've seen some stories about that. But the exciting part about it is everybody's pumped up. The governor is, I hope I'm not jumping the gun here, but is going to do more. There'll be more to come sometime next month about what we're going to do on drug interdiction. But the good part about it is everybody sees uniformed state troopers, whether you're in the State House or wherever it's at. The morale, the interest in being a state trooper is up, and I'm daggone proud to be a part of it.
Orman, just a word. I mean, we are winning on this prescription drug fight, which had been ignored. I don't understand it, but just a word about it.
Well, Governor, prescription opiates are virtually identical to the illegal drug heroin. And over the span of the last 13 years, there's been a 900% increase in the use of opiates in the practice of health care in our state. So we're focused on making sure that those persons who have a legitimate need for opiates have access on one hand, but on the other hand, we want to make sure that that we eliminate the use of opiates for those persons who do not need it because they are dangerous and highly addictive. That's number one. Number two, we have got to improve the effectiveness of treatment in our state. What we know is without medication assistance, most people who are addicted to opiates and heroin will not recover. But with medication assistance, we believe that we can get recovery rates anywhere from 65 to 80%. And we're very optimistic that over the span of the next year that we're going to have the right types of medication available for persons who need medication assistance for opiate addiction.
We believe that we have made progress in Scioto County.
We have made progress in Scioto County, absolutely.
And the numbers, again, was it, give us the numbers on the amount prescribed of opiates down there.
9.7 million doses in 2010.
To how many people?
That's for 79,000 people. That's 123 doses. If you divided it by everyone that lived there, everyone would have received 123 doses. We believe this year, on the basis of the pharmaceutical data, that we're going to see about an 800,000 count drop in the doses in Scioto County in 1 year. And we also believe that that is largely a result of those 11 pain clinics being closed
So we
this
shut
year.
pain clinics, we've had doctors' licenses removed, we've worked with the Attorney General. I'm going to tell you, for all of you in this room, boy, our kids are at risk. And drugs in this country, you talk about the problems of employers finding workers. I mean, it's unbelievable the challenges that we have. And we will have more to say about unleashing a war on drugs, because Ohio is a major artery for distribution and traffic through. You'll be seeing our signs on the road soon, but then you'll be seeing a nice big highway patrolman doing their job. Energy and shale. I don't even know where to start on this one. I'm sure you're going to have questions. We've been working on it for 15, 16 months. David Mustine is in charge of it over in Jobs, Ohio, but it's everybody. We've got Scott Nally involved. We've got our head of the DNR. Where is Jim? Is Jim Zeringer? Yeah, Jim's here. I mean, they're all involved. Wayne, all the time. Ben, myself. This is what we do a lot of. A couple principles. One is we will have tough and clear regulations. They will be things that will affect places like gathering lines, high-pressure pipelines, knowing the kind of chemicals that we are using in these operations. I mean, it's from A to Z. And let me also be clear that the biggest companies want strong regulation. We don't want yahoos coming into Ohio and damaging the environment. And we are working on that every day. We study North Dakota, Wyoming, if that was fracking out there, I don't know. Very interesting article in the Wall Street Journal today. We study The Economist when they write a bad article, the New York Times Magazine. We want to be on top of everything, because this, if it pans out, if it works out the way it looks like it will, it could bring an economic resurgence really to all of Ohio, not just the eastern part of Ohio. So we are working on that. We're working on the severance taxes. We're working on the impact fees. We just don't want people breaking this down individually in these counties. We're going to have hired Jason Wilson, the Democrat state senator, to work Appalachian Regional Commission, largely involved in shale development. This has the potential not just to allow the resources to be taken out of the ground, but the people who work on the wellheads. It gives us a tremendous opportunity to do workforce development, because as you've heard me say, I don't want foreigners working on the wellheads, and by that I mean people from Indiana, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Michigan, and